And the aptly named Sir not appearing in this film.
Welcome, native people, military expeditionaries, and snake creatures from the dark places of the inside, or wherever. This is episode 303 of Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 1st of May, 2019, and featuring Kinda, written by Christopher Bailey and starring Peter Davison as the Doctor, Matthew Waterhouse as Adric, Sarah Sutton as Nissa, and Janet Fielding as Tegan Jovanka. I am Randy Ronson McCulloch, your host for the season, and with me is our technical director, Matt Winchell.
I have a giant paper mache snake if you want to buy one.
And also on the panel tonight is Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Duck Hunters is the crazy of people.
And Thomas Fireheart.
Thankfully, I'm not sick this week.
You're not, I am.
I got that reference, Tim.
Thank you, Matt.
Looney Tunes fan, hello.
We've had temperatures kind of go nuts here in the past week. 50s, then 30s, then 50s. Come on, Mother Nature. Figure it the fuck out.
I mean, it can't possibly be global warming because we all know that doesn't exist.
When we go from me driving up to pick up Matt, which, by the way, is only an hour from the east side of our town, with the windows down, my arm hanging out the side because it's a warm, sunny day, to the next day being snow. What the fuck? But whatever it is has caused me to get a spring cold, apparently.
You call it warming, I call it what the fuckery.
I call it our temperatures are no longer stable.
I can't stop it, Captain. I ain't got the power.
So how's the week been for the rest of you?
Oh, not bad. Thankfully, literally the day after our last podcast, I went to the doctors and ended up having to get antibiotics for the first time in a while, and it was kind of funny how almost immediately they made whatever I was having go away. So it's like, oh shit, thank God.
Here's these. It's gonna kick its ass.
Yeah, I still ended up having to take a day off work, so that was annoying. But it was like, oh, thank God, I actually had to. This is actually going to be gone by next week, and thankfully it pretty much has. I've got a bit of a cough, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was last week.
How about you, Tim?
I had a pretty okay week. I saw the world premiere of a new play in New York City that was all about the writing of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. It's called Meg, Jo, Beth, Amy, and Louisa. It might be coming to a town near you. It might not, but it's one of the benefits of living in NYC.
Yeah, that's a mouthful of names.
Yeah, well, definitely not my normal viewing, that's for sure.
Well, Randy kind of knows some of what I've been going through, but as he stated, I went up to him and Aaron's for the weekend, came back, while on the way back, grabbed some food from the local Asian grocery stores because we don't get any of that shit down here. I wanted my freaking pork barbecue buns, thank you. Had some of them for dinner, in fact. Other than that, I've been streaming Skyrim and just streamed a little more Chrono Trigger today. I hit a plot point I never knew I could actually hit in that game, and went and did it, and was extremely pleased with the results. In Skyrim, I'm still working through some of the groups, but my most recent advancement is I got a new home. And I had to literally move everything because all of a sudden it's like, hey, this new house has everything I need. Why do I have this old house? Why do I need this shit here? I gotta get all this dragon parts out of here.
Yep.
Uh,
I take it you don't have one of the expansions for that gives you a spectral horse that you can summon.
I am not aware of a spectral horse. I have all the expansions.
Well, you might have to do the plot for that expansion before.
Yeah, it
you
might
get
be a
it.
plot I haven't bumped into yet.
But for me, that was easy cheat. I just load myself down a few thousand.
Oh,
summon my
that's something I haven't actually tested. I haven't actually used mounts. I take it you can use mounts even though you're overburdened to run?
Yep.
Mm.
It's a lot easier with the spectral horse because you don't have to walk to your mount.
Oh yeah, I assume it's something you can probably summon if you got the skill, if you found
Yep.
those quests. Okay.
Yep. Cast horse. Bip. Okay, go. You can fast travel too. It's
Mm.
great. All right, so on tonight's show, we've got news and birthdays, a little bit of geek talk, basically Matt and myself,
If anyone else wants to join in.
then our episode summary, our review, our final thoughts, and our ratings. So, going into birthdays, starting with the 27th of April, the first birthday is Jenna Coleman, who played Clara in 2013 through 2016, I think. She turned 33.
Wow.
Also on the same day is Russell T. Davies,
Hooray.
the showrunner from 2005 to 2009. Also, in our opinion, the best showrunner of New Who.
So far.
Turned 56.
That's the current one. Can turn things back around.
Finally,
see.
the 1st of May is the birthday of Joanna Lumley, the 13th Doctor in Doctor Who and the Curse of Fatal Death. Turned 73. Which goes to show how long ago Doctor Who and the Curse of Fatal Death was.
She's got Dalek bumps.
Anyway, that's the birthdays. So happy birthday, Jenna, Russell, and Joanna.
Yes.
Next, we move into a little bit of cast and crew news.
Okay. According to Disney's website, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, has some new actors to supplement the main cast. Joining the cast of Episode 9 are Naomi Ackie, Richard E. Grant, Kerry Russell, Matt Smith, and Dominic Monaghan. It will be joined by veteran Star Wars actors Mark Hamill, Anthony Daniels, and Billy D. Williams, who will reprise his role as Lando Calrissian. No word on the roles the newcomers will play, but we'll find out at the end of the year.
But yeah, that's for certain, because isn't that due out in like December?
Mhm.
Yeah, December. I think they've put out an official date, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it was.
Now, all
they've
the news
definitely
articles
said
were like-
December anyway.
We're like, ooh, Matt Smith is going to appear in Star Wars. Well, for me, it's just important that Richard E. Grant gets mentioned too. He's also Doctor Who alum, so that's two of the big three right there.
Hmm.
Mm.
Now all we need is for Matt Smith to show up on Discovery, and
And
he's
he'll
got
be the first Doctor to pull a hat trick.
yeah.
Hmm.
How about not
Oh.
Discovery? How about we
Um.
get him into the Picard show?
That'll work too. I have no
Um,
idea when the Picard show's coming out though.
Yeah, it seems to be in development hell at the moment. They're still trying to hammer things out because there's been issues behind the scenes.
hmm.
I won't go into that unless
Yeah.
people really want to.
No,
Yeah,
go
the
ahead, Matt.
interesting thing The interesting thing about this to me is that I can remember Matt Smith being rumored before, but this is just them officially saying yes, he is absolutely going to be. Matt Smith is absolutely going to be in it. I forget if Richard E. Grant was already confirmed or not, but either way, this is like, okay, yep, they are definitely involved now.
Mm-hmm. So you want me to go ahead with the ramble?
What's that?
You want me to go ahead with the ramble about the
Yeah,
Picard show?
I haven't heard this news.
Oh, okay. This is actually kind of old news for me. I've known this for about a month now. Apparently, it got slammed. The brakes got slammed into a holding position because, and I quote, the companies they wanted to make merchandise for them for the new show all went, this is going to be just like Star Wars Discovery, and we couldn't sell shit. We're not making anything.
So because Discovery has gone so bad.
Because Discovery's gone so bad, and because they changed so much about Star Trek, they realize that it doesn't look like the same stuff anymore, and they think because of that it's not going to sell, and they refuse to make new stuff until it starts looking more like classic Trek.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is the problem, is that and this has a chance to change now that Star Wars is all under, or Star Trek is all under one roof, since CBS was purchased by Viacom, I think. Means that it's because before CBS, because back in the old days, Viacom owned CBS and Paramount, so Star Trek was under one roof, and then somewhere in the early 2000s, the two companies split. And then suddenly it was like, okay, so you own the TV stuff, you own the movie stuff. Go do your thing. And that's why the 2009 Star Trek series looked nothing like Star Trek we knew.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Discovery actually came down the pipes through Paramount, not CBS TV initially. So it followed the new movie reboot styles more than it did the classic styles.
Mm-hmm. And I think Bad Robot is still technically behind it too, or at least a lot of people
Possibly.
from it. Not possibly, it is. There are a lot of people from Bad Robot behind it still, and that's why they keep wanting to retweak things so they can keep their copyright of it. And so that's apparently not flying right now.
Yeah, because the new Star Trek movies are considered a failure because Into Darkness was a horrible piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. And apparently the second season of Discovery has been considered far in advance worse than the first, at least from what I've been hearing so far.
Wow, that's a lot.
So yeah, people are really not liking it, and they might be forced to go back to the drawing board on that decision to make things more different.
So that may just kill the fucking franchise again.
Possibly, unless they release on that whole thing and just start going more naturally again. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the round and about of it right now. It's the matter of who's going to hold out the longest and who's going to win that fight. Technically, I think the parent companies, but we'll see.
All right. Well, let's move forward in our Doctor Who news to our Big Finish news.
Big Finish. We have new releases and coming soon. New releases. Kate Stewart and Osgood meet River Song in the latest unit set out now. 4 episodes are in the set, including This Sleep of Death by Jonathan Morris, Tempest by Lisa McMullen, and The Power of River Song Part 1 and 2 by Guy Adams. Unit Incursions is available now, priced at £22.99 CD or £19.99 on download, until July 2019, when it will go up to its general release price. Don't forget that every CD purchase unlocks a download exclusive via the Big Finish app or the Big Finish website.
I'm sorry, I had to suppress a groan there because of the power of River Song? Okay.
Well, she is an OP Mary Sue. But...
She very much is, yes. Anyways, continue, Tim. Sorry.
Next month, Captain Jack returns to take on many challenges, including the Sixth Doctor's fashion sense. But unlike Colin Baker, Barrowman makes that outfit look good. 3 episodes including Peace of Mind by James Goss, What Have I Done by Guy Adams, and Driving Miss Wells by James Goss. The Lives of Captain Jack, Volume 2, out for release in June 2019, is available for pre-order now from Big Finish at £22.99 on CD or £19.99 on download, rising to its general release price of £29.99 on CD or $24.99 on download.
I'm sorry, no one could stop making that jacket look tacky. It looks amazingly tacky, and I wouldn't mind stealing one, but it's still tacky.
I don't know. Have you seen the picture of him in that outfit?
I'm looking at it right now.
He looks a million times better than freaking Colin Baker in that outfit. Come on. Tell me that Captain Jack doesn't look good in that outfit.
All I'm hearing is marvelous coat of many colors in my head, repeating. To
be fair, John Barrowman generally looks better than Colin Baker, so.
I was
looking
gonna say,
better in the outfit.
generally looks better in anything.
Yeah. You have to know though that I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that photo shoot because he would have been just messing around.
That
would have been really funny to watch.
I would love to see him come to a convention like this. And this is John Barrowman, so I wouldn't put it past him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here, John, we made this suit just for you. Now go to conventions in it. Tell them who made it for you. Tell them who made it for you.
Or, just randomly show up and bomb like a Colin Baker convention. It's like, the difference here, don't you, Colin? I could see him doing that.
Pet the cat.
Barrowman!
Her.
Anyway, that is all of our news at the moment.
That's it. Ta-da!
Yeah, not a lot of news. I looked. There was only one other piece of news from Candy Jar Books, but that was them talking about a book that went to paperback that they had already talked about being released on hardcover a few years ago, and I'm like, no, you don't get double billing. Bad, Candy Jar.
We are not your pimps.
Anyway, so, as we mentioned, Matt came down here for the weekend. And we went to go see on release weekend something I will never do again. Avengers Endgame. And we had to see it in 3D because that was the only theater available that we could get seats together.
Well, close together.
Yeah, I mean, Matt had to sit in the row in front of us, but still. It was the only way that where we could sit in as a group rather than scattered randomly throughout the theater. And by the way, those tickets cost me almost $70.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Holy crow.
Yeah. And, I'm sitting here going, if I went to go see that on a Tuesday, the same amount would cost me $20. That sucks. So anyway, Avengers Endgame is basically the grand finale to the last 20 years worth of movies by the MCU. And it looks like it. The amount of cameos in this movie is pretty much everybody that has been in these movies since Iron Man. It is pretty damn awesome. The plot is fairly good, although if you haven't seen all of the previous movies, and I'd only missed one, there are points where you're going to get a little lost. I, for instance, had not seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. So the part where Scott Lang shows up after the events of Ant-Man and the Wasp, I was a little lost, but was able to follow.
Mm-hmm.
But still, they make it kind of a grand outing. It is the final appearance of Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, and Chris Evans as Captain America, as both have not re-signed to the MCU.
Yep, that is an official thing. I think that was an official thing before the movie came out, wasn't it?
Yes, both of them have said.
So
There
that's
was
not a
an
spoiler.
official thing where basically Robert Downey Jr. basically said, I'm too old for this shit. I'm done. Chris Evans said, yeah, I'm right with you. And Chris Helmsworth said, I'm fine.
I believe Chris Evans in particular, he's actually been struggling to keep that Captain America physique.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally been struggling for between, 5 years or more? To just keep it right in that sweet spot. And it's just like, oh, God.
And Helmsworth is just like, I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yes.
Which is interesting because, slight spoiler, but not a big one, is he basically winds up spending most of this movie with a pot belly. Because he's basically been kind of drunk and bitter Thor for the last 5 years. So, and he kind of becomes the comic relief for a good chunk of this. But if you remember his appearance from Thor Ragnarok, that's not unusual.
Oh.
He's a friend from work. Yes.
He's had tinges of that from throughout, to be honest.
Yep. But Chris Helmsworth is apparently signed on to do more. What's his face? Hawkeye. The actor was quoted as saying, "Yeah, I broke both my arms while making this movie. I still want to come back for more."
I think he's also a director, isn't he?
Possibly. But he was doing his own stunts and apparently broke both of his arms during the course of this. I think Scarlett Johansson may also have not signed on to continue.
No, she has been signed on to continue.
Oh, that's right. She's doing, but I'm not sure if she's out. She might be out of the main MCU, and now in her.
No spoilers.
No, I mean she might be doing like spin-off stuff for Disney Plus, and that's probably going to get the same treatment that Netflix series and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gets.
I think she's supposed to be in her own movie, but I'm not sure if that movie is gonna.
She's getting her own movie.
Is it actually going to be a movie, or is it going to be a Disney?
As far
Plus?
as I'm aware, it's supposed to be a movie.
Okay, well then that'll continue. She'll continue on then, because anything in theaters is considered canonical to the MCU. I thought she had either gotten her own series or miniseries on Disney Plus.
As far as I was aware, it's a regular movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of surprised she didn't, but especially considering it's mainly supporting characters that are getting shows on that. But it's like, no, she doesn't get a show, she gets a movie, and Hawkeye gets a show.
Yeah, okay, Hawkeye is then basically out of the MCU because he's going to Disney Plus.
Then so is Loki.
Well, it
And
depends,
Loki, yeah.
because from what I can recall, the basic plot of the show is that he's training up his daughter to take his place.
I don't know if there's any details for sure. There's been rumors, though.
Yeah, so it's like the idea is that like maybe it's like time will tell if they actually mention the Disney Plus shows, but it's Disney. I could see Disney levering holding that as leverage over Marvel, being like, you have to acknowledge these shows somehow.
Well, they have to, because how else did the item that got lost of Loki get back to where it needed to belong? Oops. Dang it.
Spoilering.
Yep, all in my tongue on that now. No more details.
Yeah.
At least I didn't say what happened.
Yeah.
I just said
This
that
is
he
why
got
last
away.
week I was basically just like, it's a good movie for like 5 minutes.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
So the Disney Plus series we have is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it sounds like Falcon and Winter Soldier will be leaving the MCU for at least a series worth of stuff. And probably will never get up. WandaVision. So that sounds like Scarlet Witch. Loki and the Untitled Hawkeye series.
Which, going by the names of the other ones, it'll probably just be called Hawkeye.
Of course, the thing is that They're because they're A, waiting on Gunn for Guardians 3, and B, they're doing all this. Basically, we might be seeing a break in the cinema MCU now for like a year or two while they decide how they're going to swing it. With
Honestly, I would be like absolutely fine with that. And to be honest, if they were gonna do like just take a break, my suggestion would have been to force Sony to release Spider-Man Far From Home next year, and just have had Captain Marvel Endgame, and that's it for the year.
It really just depends on how productions are going and where they want to place things once they're finished.
But apparently, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to come out somewhere near the end of this year on Disney Plus. WandaVision and Loki are due out next year, and the Hawkeye series is as of yet unscheduled. All four are listed as being in development at this point.
So are you done?
There was also supposed to be a new Ghost Rider series on Hulu that's supposed to come out next year.
I have heard nothing.
Now, is that Ghost Rider or Ghost Writer?
Ghost Rider.
Okay.
RIDE.
Yeah,
I guess the question is it supposed to be the same one from that apparently shows up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or is it a new one?
It's Robbie Reyes.
So it'd be the one from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yep. It is not intended to be a spin-off, but will focus on the same character as introduced in a different story.
And I was going to say the deal with Netflix is done, so that would be why it's going to Hulu, I guess.
Well, Hulu is owned by Disney now.
Just about.
Disney owns a majority stake in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, it wouldn't be on Disney Plus because they're trying to keep that to family-friendly stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, all the adult
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, if they wanted to move
Hulu.
some of their more adult stuff to a streaming service and get away from everyone else, they would probably move to Hulu.
Yeah, which is why most of the MCU is going to be on Disney Plus, but Deadpool will be on Hulu. Because Deadpool is... They have said they're not going to try to censor Deadpool.
Good for them.
They want to continue making more Deadpool, but they don't want to censor it. So when it comes out for streaming, it'll be on Hulu.
So basically, Once Upon a Deadpool might be on Disney Plus, but...
Yeah.
Just barely, maybe.
Even that pushes it. It does.
Like I said, just barely, maybe.
Who actually owns it? Disney and it's NBC Universal that owns 30% of Hulu, whereas Disney owns 60%. And then the additional 10% is owned by random shareholders.
Well, Randy's given his thoughts on. What was that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, Avengers. It's a great ending, especially if you've been with these movies for the last 20 years.
11.
Well, it feels like 20 years. It honestly does. It started.
Well, yeah.
Well, it's 20 movies.
22 movies. Yeah. God, 22 movies over 11 years. That's insane.
Yeah, it is. Either way, they're basically, it's, for some reason my brain keeps telling me 2003, but that was the crappy Ang Lee Hulk movie.
Oh, that was awful, no.
2008, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been 11 years, and if you've been paying attention to all of this, then yes, this basically ties up everything, and you can walk out of the theater content. The 3D wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. All right, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, as I was trying to say like 5 times now. Since Randy's given his opinions, my opinion on the movie, I have missed a few things, including the Ant-Man and the Wasp. It wasn't hard to pick up where everything was going. I love the character moments. There's a couple of decent Thor ones. There's a couple of decent Hulk ones. There's definitely some stuff that'll be quickly becoming memes and jokes pretty soon, I'm sure. Also, how certain things happened will also probably get some eyebrows raised, especially earlier on in the movie, I think, after given the jokes that were going around beforehand about that particular topic, but we'll not cover that here. I love the appearances of everyone, including some of the people you might not have expected to come back. It's just like, oh, holy shit, you were in such a small role. You're actually back for at least appearance here? Sweet. The effects are gobsmackingly amazing still. I don't know how Marvel Studios keeps putting out these movies like they are at this rate. And to be honest, their CG maybe in like 5 to 10 years their CG won't be as good, but right now they seem to be the best movie studio doing it right now.
I mean, if anything, it helps that
Do you know how Disney manages to have such CGI? They throw $300 million at this movie.
Yeah, but there's plenty of other studios that could be doing that too, and somehow they come up with rubbish more often than not, except for like a few rare occasions like Warcraft.
Well,
I think like
generally,
the explanation that would be the thing is like if it was anything like with Infinity War, it wasn't just one company doing it. It was like 5 different companies doing all that CG.
If we had fully paid attention to the credits, we would have seen how many CG companies were involved, actually.
That's the thing too. There's probably multiple different companies for different parts of it too. There's probably some group that's probably responsible for CG of people, CG of visual effects, CG of vehicle effects, etc., etc. But those bloody credits roll on for so long these days. I remember back in the day, you just named the companies and that was enough.
What the amazing part of this was the amount of shout-outs to either recent or classic Marvel comic moments.
Oh, that's that too. And I would love to go into those, but that would be ruining it.
It depends. There are a couple of them we can mention. One of the things that is established early on and goes through the movie, so it's not really a spoiler, is that Bruce Banner has come in contact with the Hulk and has basically become a hybrid. Banner's brain, Hulk's body. And that is something that the comic books did in the 90s.
I'll kind of let that one go, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's not really a huge spoiler, because it happens early.
Except the head as far as even the poster did. They didn't show Hulk anywhere. As far as we're led to believe it's going to be Banner the entire time, it's not quite that.
Nope, it's Green Banner. But yeah, that's a shout out to
But that is a shout out to 90s Hulk, and that was a thing for quite a while actually, until I want to say the last 10 or 15 years.
97, I think is when that ended. And it was just basically he started becoming more feral until he reverted. And Hulk's cousin, She-Hulk, basically was always constantly big green and in control of herself. So.
In fact, there's very few times where she went back to normal.
Yeah.
After a while.
There was only a couple of times she did it, and that was she basically used her human form more or less as a disguise. She needed to go unnoticed.
Or something else happened to her, but yeah.
There was a few times where she got depowered by, like anti-gamma or something in the comics. Some weird shit like that. Something would suck up all the gamma radiation, and Hulk and She-Hulk would go, "Why are we normal?"
I want them to do a movie. I suddenly just want them to do a movie version of the What If Fantastic Four. I forget all the members, but I know She-Hulk and Ghost Rider are part of the What If Fantastic Four.
Well,
Um,
they are doing a what if show for Disney Plus, so it might
I
happen on that.
believe She-Hulk was always part of I
She,
think what they call the alternate four. Um,
she was occasional on again, off again if they needed a replacement. Yeah,
because
but she was like
I
a
think
permanent for the What If group,
she was like a reserve if the Thing decided to take a vacation.
basically. Yeah. Or if Ben never got pissed off at what Reed was doing that month.
Yeah. Well, that would be the same as taking a vacation. Because I know the reserve four also had Wolverine in it.
Oh, I think Wolverine was
Yeah.
also one of the What If Fantastic Fours. I'm forgetting what the third one is still, or the fourth one is still.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too.
Wolverine, Ghost Rider, She-Hulk, and there's somebody else. Was it Doctor Strange? Maybe I can't remember. I'll probably remember later. But anyways, refocusing to the movie. Yes, this is definitely this whole movie was definitely a huge call out to the entire franchise up to this point. They got as much stuff in there as they could. One of the things I did really like that doesn't get called out that much is I love seeing giant Ant-Man just running across the open area and just start punching things.
Yes. It was good to see that. They did shout outs to pretty much almost every previous movie. Shout outs to Winter Soldier, shout outs to Guardians 1, shout outs to Thor 2, shout outs to the original Avengers movie. It was pretty cool. But I believe, Matt, that your thought is if you've been an MCU fan, you definitely need to see this movie.
Oh, definitely. You need this. You need this. This is literally the bookmarker for like the end of the end of the first book for the
More
Marvel
like second
franchise and
book.
movie.
Second book, I'd say.
I guess you can kind of consider the first Avengers the first end of the first book, maybe.
Well, the thing is, yeah, the first Avengers is, the end of the first book, which was Phase 1. The thing is, Phase 2 didn't really end on a giant note. Phase 2 ended on Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's why I consider all this to be the part of the big one thing. Like this is like Avengers was like the halfway mark in the Two Towers or something, you know. This is the end of that particular portion of that book. Now let's finish the rest of it, and then
Honest
boom,
to
we're
God,
done.
I would have ended Phase 2 on Captain America: Civil War.
Somewhere in there, maybe. But yeah, this is just the big culmination of everything they've been working on for 11 years, and boom, it's done.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know if it's a fan thing or if it is an official Marvel thing that they're referring to phases 1 through 3 now as the Infinity Saga.
I can understand them calling this the Infinity Saga. That's totally understandable.
Yeah, they do call it the Infinity Saga. On Wikipedia, Infinity Saga Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. I just think it's a little weird that Phase 1 has 6 movies, Phase 2 has 6 movies, Phase 3 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 movies.
10, yeah.
The final chapter needed some extra pages. There, it's done.
And by the sounds of it, this might be the last Avengers movie we get for a while.
The last one that's going to be called Avengers, yes, definitely. It's going to be the last one for a while, I think.
And this also might be potentially the final, from what I've read now, apparently this is, at least for now, the final movie that the Russo brothers will be doing for Marvel. With the idea being that because they have such a good relationship with Marvel, that there's the possibility they might come back, but they're
there's nothing like signed on paper that they are or are not coming back. They're essentially the Russos are getting a nice long break because they did a damn good job here. And okay, everything's been tied up. We'll call you when we need some more advanced crazy shit to start happening in the universe again.
Yeah. Bring them back when we get Galactus.
Yes.
Started with Winter Soldier. So they started back in 2014. So they've been doing this now for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. They've been doing it for 5 years. So they could use a break too. Because I'm sure they constantly had their brain scratched for all 5 years.
I mean, I'm pretty sure because they've done 4 movies now for the MCU, that makes them like the most recurring directors.
Bring back Taika Waititi.
Yeah, bring back Taika.
Yeah.
Bring back Taika if you ever get Thor out of that particular group thing he might be involved in.
Well,
Don't know if he's involved yet. We'll see.
I think he as far as we're aware, he's involved in Guardians, but we're not sure what's going on with Guardians 3.
I have some good ideas, but nothing like leaked or anything yet.
Mm-hmm. All we know, it's going to be a while because Gunn's busy.
I'm assuming Adam.
Trying to save DC.
I'm pretty damn
least
sure
one.
Guardians 3 is going to be Adam because that's where they left us on 2.
Which is going to be so funny that I remember people being kind of disappointed. That means that it's kind of funny to have Adam Warlock show up after the Infinity stuff has been dealt with.
Because he was a big part of that too.
Yeah.
So they're really remaking Suicide Squad, or they're really making a sequel to Suicide Squad.
I think
they're doing a sequel, but I think the sequel is kind of intended to
ignoring.
be a remake almost because they're not even numbering it.
That's why. Yeah, I think that's why it's called the Suicide Squad, because it's just ignoring it. But
Even though they're bringing back half
thing
the
is
actors and actresses.
yeah, like apparently, Idris Elba was originally supposed to be playing Deadshot to replace Will Smith, but now they've just gone, fuck it, we'll have him play someone else that they haven't made public yet, I don't think. Instead, just in case Will Smith decides to come back.
Well, the thing is, he was actually an okay Deadshot. He was probably the better part of the Suicide Squad movie.
I think the only problem I had with that movie is, like, I wanted to see, like, I didn't really want them to treat them like heroes, which is kind of what happened. It's like, it would have just been nice to see, well, shit, if they fuck this up, then what are we gonna do? Like, they're not doing it for altruistic reasons, they're just doing it for, well, I mean, if we don't do this, they'll end the world, and there's no profit in that, and so, fuck it.
Oh God, John Cena's gonna be in this movie?
John Cena!
I mean, if you're gonna get a wrestler to play a character in this, get The Rock. God damn it.
He's too busy getting ready for Dark Adam.
It depends on what's happening. I still think that Cena probably would have been a decent pick to play Shazam, but that's me.
They got Jai Courtney to play Captain Boomerang. They got him back. He was half the reason I disliked the first movie. Because he was such a freaking waste of space.
My guess is they just couldn't find another Australian actor. Or they just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, it just,
Anyway, this is a huge aside now.
Well, yeah, it was. It's just, I had not heard that they were remaking this for the DC universe. Which is...
Gunn's going to save it for them, apparently.
Yeah. Gunn's going to try to save it for them. I'm not sure it's savable.
We'll see.
I still need to see Aquaman and Shazam.
Yes,
Both of those
I need to
like,
see Shazam.
I'll put it this way: with Gunn behind the Suicide Squad movie, Shazam being good, and Aquaman being good, as far as I'm concerned, the DC EU is now on track. After like a rocky start, it's now...
After the train ran off the rails like 5 times, it's finally connected.
It's got 3 chances to crash and burn before the Suicide Squad.
Oh.
It's got Birds of Prey coming out February of next year.
Are they still doing that? Oh dear. Okay.
Wonder Woman 1984 coming out next June. and
Okay.
The Batman coming out June of the year after. Suicide Squad's not due out until August 6th of 2021. Also due out sometime in there is The Flash, which is just going to crash and die because everybody sees The Flash and they think CW.
Flash. Ah.
Savior of the universe.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyways, so I think that's enough for Avengers. Did anyone see anything else?
Nah, I've been sick, so I haven't been able to see anything else. Otherwise, I probably just would have seen Endgame at the same time.
Which reminds me, I need to catch up on my Godzilla. I need to watch the 2 previous Godzilla movies before the new one comes out at the end of the month.
I really want to see Ant-Man and the Wasp just to say I've seen them all, but
Oh, I've got more than that on my list to catch up on list too.
what have you missed?
I missed both Ant-Man movies.
Ah,
I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet,
that was good.
and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think I have a few others. Oh, Ultron! I still haven't seen Ultron,
Jesus Christ, Matt.
and I haven't seen
I-
Thor 2 yet either.
Well, you can skip that one.
I haven't
Thor
seen
2 is the low
Ouch.
point of the MCU.
Oh, and
I
I
don't
haven't
Thor
the
I haven't
Dark
seen
World.
Iron Man 3 yet either.
You can kind of skip that one. The space after the first Avengers movie was kind of the low point because you had Iron Man 3, which is basically Tony Stark's PTSD. Thor: The Dark World, where they hired Christopher Eccleston to play a bad guy and then gave him nothing to do. And then Winter Soldier, which was mildly interesting. And then you hit Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's suddenly like, oh, well, it's found its stride again. Then you hit Ultron, and you're just like, okay, whatever.
Guardians 2. Woo!
So you've basically missed. Did you see
I
Winter
missed-
Soldier?
I've seen Winter Soldier.
So that's the Winter Soldier and Guardians are the only part of Phase 2 you've actually seen.
Wow.
Because Phase 2, Iron Man 3, Dark World, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ultron, and Ant-Man. So,
Ouch. Ouch.
yeah.
Second phase just couldn't pull me in, apparently.
Yeah, well, like I said, that is kind of the weak part of the Infinity Saga. Other than Guardians, which is really, really good. And Ant-Man, which is fun, but okay. And Winter Soldier was okay. But then Civil War was great, and that started Phase 3. Doctor Strange was great.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians 2 was great.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man was great.
Mm-hmm.
Thor Ragnarok was great. Black
I remember
Panther
you
was
being
great.
really mediocre about Thor 3.
Oh, no. Fuck no. I fucking love Thor 3.
I remember you being highly mediocre about it. Okay.
I think it was
My-
more
my-
so
no, I
because
was
we
mediocre.
were when we talk about it, we were talking about it and Justice League at the same time.
The only thing I
And
was,
it was like,
mediocre.
which do you prefer?
The only thing that it was mediocre about Thor 3 was the bad guy, as played by Jeff Goldblum.
Not to say Jeff Goldblum did a bad job. It's just not a very it's a
just
hard
not
to get him
it's-
character.
It's when he plays a character, he's playing Jeff Goldblum, and that wasn't a character I saw as being Jeff Goldblum.
I was fine with the interpretation, but it wasn't. He wasn't really a major threat.
Yeah,
Well,
he
yeah,
didn't.
to be
The big
fair,
threat
he's a
was
side
our
villain.
main characters trying to get home.
He's supposed to be charismatic and intimidating, and he kind of failed on both for me.
I don't know.
But-
He was fun and
but the-
charismatic to me,
all
but
the Thor
threatening,
and
nah.
all back and forth were great. Most of Thor's dialogue was fucking inspired. And the movie
wanna
had
stand
me
still.
when he's going to meet Jeff Goldblum's character, and the background starts playing World of Pure Imagination from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. My brain actually cracked when that happened.
Oh, and what was the one? I keep forgetting what his name is. The other Thor esque guy. I keep forgetting his name. I heard it just recently too.
You mean like the horse dude, or like
Yeah.
God,
God,
Beta
Beta
Ray
Ray
Bill.
Beta Ray Bill. We need a Beta Ray Bill movie. Thor 4. I'm looking at you.
Not to mention the fact that
We literally have his weapon in the movies right now.
both scenes where they had Thor kick ass to Immigrant Song was fucking awesome.
Oh yes.
So it's made me get a new appreciation for Led Zeppelin.
Oh, I've always had
So
appreciation
yes,
for
I
Led
like
Zeppelin.
Thor. So yes, I like Thor 3. I liked Black Panther. I liked Infinity War. Can't say anything about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I liked Captain Marvel.
I haven't seen Black Panther yet either.
Wow.
It just happened to be that one spot where I couldn't get any rides to go out to see movies. Which I'm hoping to have fixed by the end of this next month so I can see the new Godzilla movie. Because I'm going to be poking like crazy around to find something. If I have to force my old man to come watch a giant monster movie with me, I will. I will pay for his ticket. We'll have some decent pizza.
Pizza
They're
is
not a
nice.
theater up there in Mayville?
A theater in this town? Hell no.
Not even a cheapo?
No. Closest thing we get a theater around here is if someone decides to rent out a giant screen and that brings their own projector to show something.
What about up there in Beaver Dam?
I'm not even sure if Beaver Dam has one. Maybe they have one, but I don't know about it. Like the major theaters we go to around here are either in Hartford or West Bend, and if we're really desperate for something, we'll go over to Fond du Lac.
Yeah, there's Rogers Cinema in Beaver Dam.
I'd never go there.
It's at basically the very end of Highway 33.
Shrug my shoulders.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
sure if
know.
I've ever
I'm just
seen it.
telling you.
I'm not
It's
sure if I've ever
probably
seen it.
the
I go
closest
to that
theater
town
to you.
frequently.
What's that?
I go to Beaver Dam frequently, so I don't know. Oh.
It's pretty much right on the corner of Front Street and Beaver Street. Right across from Park Plaza Pizza.
Never heard of that either. It's in the part of Beaver Dam I never see.
Apparently.
But yeah, I think we're done with Avengers then, and I don't think
Yep.
anyone else has anything.
All right, so who's up for doing the summary?
I believe it was me last time, followed by Tim, so it's down to you two. It's
It
you
was
and Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take a backseat this week, and I'll do Battlefield next week.
Oh, Randy.
Damn, I wanted to do Battlefield. Damn it. No, it's just
It's
a
like
Battlefield.
I was trying to take notes, and then I was just like, oh god, shit. I've just stopped at one point, and I was like, ah, crap. I'm not gonna remember it now.
What for our notes?
Makes me wish I had a glass of water so I could do this, but... Alright, tell me when you're ready, Matt.
Alright, I guess give you content then. So, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the TARDIS lands on the planet Deva Loka. Nissa's feeling a bit under the weather, so the Doctor rigs up the sonic screwdriver to bits of odds and ends to create a delta wave generator so she can sleep, thus keeping her out of the episode for the rest of it, and removing the sonic screwdriver as a MacGuffin. Thus said, the rest of the Scooby Gang decide to go out and explore. Meanwhile, on the same planet is a dome filled with basically what looks to be military personnel, one of which has been asleep on patrol and gets thoroughly reamed out by his superior. He also seems to be a bit twitchy and not in the best of shape. Apparently, they're missing some people and that went out to explore the area and see the native population and have not returned. We've also learned that they have taken hostages as part of some kind of standard military procedure. The Doctor and crew come across basically what looked to be some kind of crystal chimes and futz with those for a while Adric B's a little bit of a prat. The doctor and Adric run off while Tegan falls asleep by the chimes. Total fail on the doctor's part of noticing what's going on. Meanwhile, the doctor and Adric come across what looks to be some kind of primitive mobile suit. And of course, Adric, being Adric, closes it, turns it on, which promptly captures them and takes them back to the dome, where they find that the acting security officer is twitchy and upset, and the captain is a little more cordial, but still wondering what the hell they're doing on this planet, and what's up with the native population. The captain gets full of himself, gets into the suit, and decides to go out exploring. We then come across the local population, who is basically waiting for him to hand him a strange box. Meanwhile, while he's away, the security officer has a total mental meltdown and captures the doctor, the ship's researcher, and Adric, and puts them in a cage. He also manages to get the prisoners, the Kinda prisoners as they are, to follow his commands using a mirror. Dresses them up as soldiers and basically acts like a little Napoleon. The captain finds the box, gets his mind snapped by it, and comes back and acts like basically a 4-year-old. Not a temper tantrum 4-year-old, a rather docile 4-year-old. And basically does whatever the security officer says, as he is basically being he's being the temper tantrum 4-year-old. Meanwhile, one of the Kinda, Eris, has been visiting the dome looking for his brother, and is feeling lost and out of it without his brother's presence. He finds Tegan, who meanwhile has been on a trip inside her head, has come in contact with a creature, and has been possessed by it. The creature is called the Mara, and is a nasty piece of evil work. The Mara soon takes over Eris, and he begins riling up the native people to go attack the dome. Because now he can speak, and that's apparently a big thing to them. Normally they just talk telepathically. So he riles them up. The doctor and the others are prompted to open the box in the cage, and they do, which causes the power failure and lets them escape. They meet the native people, discover the fact that all this has happened before and will happen again, because the Mara are basically entropy embodied, apparently. They end everything. And they go off to stop the native people. Adric, meanwhile, plays along with the soldiers and eventually makes his own escape in the survival suit, causing a huge accident. He winds up shooting Eris and wounding him, but not killing him, and Eris manages to escape. Meanwhile, the security officer has wired the entire dome with explosives to render it down to its component atoms, because he's that freaking insane, and decides that that's enough additional security to relax and start playing fucked up games. The doctor comes back, and the researcher manages to trick the security officer into looking into the box, which heals his mind. The doctor then proceeds to borrow a whole bunch of, I think they said it was like solar panels,
Mm-hmm.
and use them as mirrors to trap Eris in the center of it to get the Mara free from him and dispatch it to the dark places of the inside or wherever. Thus, all the threats are taken care of. The captain decides to stay with the native people because he feels the most relaxed there, and the others prepare for being picked up by the military. And of course, the doctor and the others go on their merry way. How's that?
All right, you got it in 6 minutes 9 seconds.
There's a lot going on in this episode.
Oh, there's a ton to cover
Hmm.
And it's really confusing
at points.
at the first time you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
It really takes multiple viewings to kind of mentally
Yeah.
get what's going on.
Yeah, I think this is
And-
like the third time. I think I finally started peeling back the layers a bit better this time.
Oh yeah, it is very much an onion of an episode.
Hmm.
And by onion I mean layers, yes. So what do we like about this episode? And Thomas, you're first.
I'm just gonna go with the acting because just
Oh.
holy shit.
Oh yes, this is one of the
Um,
reasons I really like this episode.
Yeah, you
Is
could
because the acting is so good.
like in a way, you could almost if you were gonna do any Doctor Who serial as like a stage play, this would work very well as a stage play, I would almost argue. Which I guess is funny because the guy who wrote it had previously only really done writing for stage, so that kind of makes sense.
It possibly shows then, yeah.
Yeah, and like some of the dialogue is kind of Shakespearean in a way, so it's like, okay, yeah. I could see that. But yeah, like all of the supporting cast are good. The Doctor's good. Like Tegan and Adric don't really have much to do, but it's still fun. And yeah, just like Jesus. I mean, hell, like when watching the behind the scenes things, the script editor at the time, oh god, Eric Saywood
Yeah.
Yes,
was
it was
saying
solid.
that he believes that like the portrayal of Hindle is probably some of the best acting.
Yes,
Doctor Who's
that was what I
ever
was going to
had.
say. That's that by the way is Simon Rouse,
Mm.
who is better known later on in life for playing Detective Chief Inspector Superintendent Jack Meadows in The Bill, which is a long-running ITV police drama. But
Ah.
here, he goes and he plays Hindle, who has this mental breakdown, and he does it so fucking perfectly.
Yeah, it does
And-
hit on levels of this is fucked for
Yeah.
how well he's acting it.
Yes.
Like he takes it 100% seriously. He commits.
Yes.
Which is mainly what you can say about everyone. No one's like, oh well, this is a bit silly, isn't it? Like everyone's taking this as seriously as possible. And
I
it
mean,
shows.
yeah, you could have taken this role and just hammed it. Just ham and cheesed this, and it would have been terrible. It would have never made my list if somebody had ham and cheesed this. But Hindle sold both Hindle and both Simon Rouse and Richard Todd, I think, did great jobs in playing different forms of mental breakdown. Richard Todd played Sanders, the captain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you sure he wasn't a colonel?
I don't know. He's the CO. We'll just call him the CO. Anyway,
That chicken.
he because either way, I mean, he kind of goes like senile.
Basically, yeah.
And he plays that senility level very well. And then you've got Nerese Hughes, who plays the scientific officer Todd. And she's playing, she's kind of at the end of her rope. She's not having a breakdown, but she's just like, what the fuck can I do? So, and then you've got, of course, Panna and Karuna, and even the heiress, who doesn't really, he's probably the cheesiest actor in the entire thing, but he's playing a possessed person.
Mm-hmm.
So, it kind of worked. It's just this thing where all the acting worked. Yes, the special. If you were not watching the DVD enhanced edition, the special effects were cheesy. but it still it still worked.
Yeah.
I've loved this episode since I first saw it back in 1986. I know it was 4 years old by then, but you got to remember it took a while for these episodes to come across the pond. Even it's still kind of, it was just I've loved this episode since I saw it. I missed in my original viewing, I missed Fort of Doomsday, the previous one. So I went straight from Castrovalva to this. And it was just like, wow, this is kind of cool. All right. Tim, how about you? What did you like?
Oh, I really liked just the doctor's story plot line in this episode of exploring this new planet and like his reactions of with the natives in the forest and the other things, like just like all the moments of Peter Davison. I really thought Peter Davison particularly sort of piggybacking on to the whole acting in general was, but I thought Peter Davidson's his dialogue and his delivery and the way he handled talking with Hindle and Sanders, like the changes in his inflections and his mannerisms, knew that there was like a brain behind the doctor's face, so to speak, that really shone through. I think I'm babbling a bit, but I think you get the general idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Peter Davison.
Yep, Davis.
I believe from there it goes to me.
Yep.
So overall thought I liked about this. The Mara is an interesting villain. And when again, it takes a few times at it to try and crack what the hell the Mara is all about. But from the general gist that I get of it is basically it's kind of an elder god of dreams, and it feeds off of fear and hatred. And when it's forced to, it will take the physical form of essentially a giant snake.
It's more like chaos and entropy, but or another way of looking at it is basically
it garnered enough power through Tegan's fear to finally possess somebody. So there's a little bit of that too. And technically, all three of those weird people she saw in her head were all the Mara, I believe, too.
Yep. But another way of looking at the Mara is that it's the biblical serpent.
That's a possibility too, but I'm not entirely sure I'd follow on that one.
It's kind of weird. I mean, we're talking metaphysically here.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard.
It's the fact that it's such a metaphysical creature too, as well.
From what I can recall, this entire serial was inspired by Buddhist philosophy, so applying that to it could probably help in some ways. And the whole thing of it coming from her mind is the idea is that all this fear and doubt and greed and all that is all internal or something like that, and that's why it comes from you, has to escape through into your mind or something like that. I think.
Okay, so this serial was examined closely in a media studies volume called Doctor Who: The Unfolding Text by John Tulloch and Manuel Elivardo. In it, they say that Kinda incorporates both Buddhist and Christian symbols and themes, as well as Jungism, Carl Jung. So there's a lot of different philosophical stuff that went into building this serial.
Mm.
So it could be that the Mara is basically the Christian serpent, but the whole idea of the wheel of destruction is definitely a Buddhist philosophy.
So there's just a lot of stuff playing all at once, essentially.
Oh yeah, this was written by Christopher Bailey, who apparently was a bit of a philosopher himself, or at least a student of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely, from what I can remember watching him behind the scenes thing, whether he still is or just only was at the time, he was a practicing Buddhist.
Buddhist Jungian symbology, also was a big fan of Ursula K. Le Guin. So yeah.
But the fact that the Mara technically is from some sort of deep, dark sleeping place and gets accidentally woken up and brought forth is kind of also kind of an almost sort of, but not quite a old gods kind of thing.
Nah, not really.
But it has whispers of it, but it's still more of a metaphysical thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
The way they kind of play about it.
Either way, of the two appearances of the Mara, this is the one I like better. The Mara would once again come back in the serial Snake Dance, but I don't think was handled quite as well. We have an open slot now that we don't have GeekCon. We could always pencil Snake Dance into there and make our own decision.
But also as a visual thing, I poke fun at it for being a paper mache string puppet in the original version. But I will also add that I did see the side by side, and wow, is the CG version impressive.
Be honest, I kind of like the original better.
I'm with Rand.
I'm sorry, I just see that thing just kind of wiggling back and forth. Don't get me wrong, it's big and impressive, but just kind of.
I mean, for something in shoestring budget 80s Doctor Who, that's not bad.
For what it was on the cheapest budget, yeah, it's not bad. It's still, if you look at it with a modern eye, though, it's really dopey. It's adorable and lovable, more so than fearsome.
I always cut Doctor Who a bit of slack unless something is really ridiculous like that. The thing from Warrior to the Deep or something.
Of the downslide of Doctor Who.
Yeah, this is where the budgets never quite met where the means we're trying to get to.
Yeah, this is where the budgets start stay the same while production values across the board start
needing the demands to go higher, but they never reach it. But yeah, but outside of that, I've mileage will vary on which version of the Mario like visually, but I found it to still be a really interesting villain. I wish there was a way to revisit it more. You don't get metaphysical monstrosities very often these days.
No. Closest we gotten was the Satan Pit monster.
That's the next one, yeah. Just about.
Okay, so yeah, like I mentioned, I really liked the acting in this as well. I especially liked Hindle and Saunders. I thought they did great jobs. But we've already mentioned that, so let's go to what we disliked about the episode. Thomas, you're first.
It's very hard to find something that which this doesn't happen to me often as far as in some cases it's like, well, I couldn't find anything to dislike, but it's just that the episode was sort of dull or something, which thankfully was not the case this time. In this case, it's something very, very nitpicky, in that the first time I watched this through, Hindle's descent into madness, to me, came out of nowhere, because it just seems like paranoia to start with, but then it just devolves into madness out of nowhere, and all you really get is a bit of dialogue, rather than ultimately kind of like, oh, he's been a bit on edge here and there. It's like dialogue that you get to hint at why he would be going nuts, but we don't really see what's driven him. Like, you can kind of get it, and it's like, oh, well, they're the only
Basically,
three
he's just
people
paranoid
left,
throughout, and
everyone's
it just
gone.
keeps getting worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But like the fact that it goes from paranoia to childlike madness is like, okay, that's while the acting of it is absolutely amazing and makes up for that, it's still a nitpick, like a very tiny nitpick for me, that there's no like show don't tell kind of thing of showing his slow descent.
There's no moment of snap.
Yeah. So if it had been like that, which I feel like in a novelization they probably would do, there'd just be like a prologue in a novelization where it's like you're following those three, and generally that little team as everyone's going in his slow descent. Whereas with Doctor Who, you don't really the actual show, you don't really have time to do that.
Yeah, that might be more of the case, is that there wasn't really time to see, because he's the head of security and people have been vanishing. So.
Yeah. So
That
then
is.
that's
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So Tim.
Okay. Something I didn't like. I didn't particularly care for the companions in this episode.
Yeah.
I found them kind of, if not actively annoying, sort of dull and listless. And
yeah, they really are just kind of there to serve the narrative purpose, and that's it. And Todd herself,
one of them wasn't even there at all.
The companion. Yeah.
and like when Nissa showed up at the very end, I thought, oh yeah, she was.
She was here. Wait.
Yeah. Like, I can tell you, if I'd done the summary, I would have basically just made the joke of, well, Nissa decided that
Nissa decided that she needed to be written out of the plot for this episode and went away for a while.
Nissa realized she wasn't going to be in this, so she just decided to faint.
Tegan in particular, I found not the scene when she's in the dream. I thought she was fine in those, but everything else, I kept asking, like, this is like from a theater perspective. I kept asking, really? That's the performance you're going with, huh? Okay.
Well, everything after the dream sequence, after her possession, she's kind of haunted by a shadow of the Mara. So she's subdued.
Yeah.
Adric is basically just a little prat throughout.
That being said, Janet Fielding probably would agree with Tim, because in interview bits I've seen, she's very hard on herself with her acting in this.
Because Adric basically does season 16 Adric of, I'm going to join the bad guys. either actually or as some kind of overall plan.
It was a little more obvious to me than this one that was a plan, but he seems to very quickly regret it.
Yes, it's one of those things that he does though in like every episode this season, or every serial this season.
They keep forcing on Adric, and Adric still hasn't learned the lesson that this is not always the best plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that it is kind of funny that a supporting character is more of a companion in this story than the actual companions.
Right?
Yeah, if this had been a Modern Who episode, this would have been a "Do you want to come with me?" moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You've tried, you succeeded, you've passed. You want to come with me now. Whether she'd say
done
yes
with Paradise.
or not,
How about the
thing,
rest of the universe?
The offer would have been there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, she acts more like a companion than the others because the others are just kind of there. All right. So, Matt.
So I said the Mara was acceptable, even in its original form physically. The digital version I still say is better, but overall the idea of it's really good. One thing that's also a big visual thing in this particular episode is what did they call it again? That little mecha suit?
The total survival suit.
The total
The
survival
TSS.
suit. What a piece of garbage. Just literally a box on treads that's supposed to have guns and supposed to have feet, even though we literally watch it as it shovels leaves across the set. Oh my god.
Remember, Matt, shoestring budget.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they did better with K9.
Uh,
And K9 didn't work half the time. He was pulled
If-
along by a string.
So was
Don't-
this.
If the doctor hadn't said the word suit, I never would have looked at that and said, "Oh, that's a suit."
Yeah. It's like, what's this giant box with appendages doing here?
I'm sorry, but the Japan invasion hadn't happened yet, so Japan hadn't taught us what proper power armor should have looked like.
The invasion may have not taken place, but they've already invaded our sci-fi quite heavily. Godzilla was a thing, man, and even
Yeah.
Godzilla had giant monsters that were robots.
Yeah,
That
Well before this.
but as far as mobile suits and power armor, Gundam hadn't made it across the pond yet.
Gundam hadn't made it across the pond. I'm trying to think if anything else did, though. Ultraman did. Godzilla did. I don't know if Super Sentai had or not. I think maybe in Hawaii it did, but not in the main states,
Not
sadly.
in England.
And not in
Remember,
England,
we're
yeah.
talking England.
yeah.
Yeah, that's an issue in itself, isn't it?
Yes. You gotta remember, first of all, we are not even dealing with 1982 US budget. We are dealing with 1982 BBC budget and BBC grade special effects, which were 5 years behind the United States at the time. Because
but even then, I could argue that they've done much better with similar ideas, and this thing just was pitiful. I feel sorry for the person who probably spent a lot of time trying to make that thing because it just never worked on camera. Outside
To
of
be
the
fair,
little
it
lights
only
that are
shows
supposed to
up
light up
on-
on either side of your head.
I mean, to be fair, they only really use it like what?
They
2-3
probably
times?
because of all the issues, they only used it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just yeah, that poor thing.
yeah,
I saw it
It wa-
shoveling leaves, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm out of it. This is a stage now. Oh, thanks.
well, it would have been at least better if they'd put it on like treads or something.
If they would have
Well,
just left it as treads, yeah, instead of trying to add the feet things that just did not affect
Yeah.
it well at all. Maybe make it a little more tankish and still boxy and still would have worked. But oh well.
Maybe if they would have reused one of the war machines,
That's thinking, yeah. One of the war machines, that would have helped.
redressed it a bit.
Mm-hmm. Redressed it, repainted it, maybe added another something to it, and away you go.
Seeing if I can find anything in like production outtakes or anything on whether that suit was an issue. For-
Yeah, I would look that up, but I almost guarantee you, even if they didn't put anything about it, that thing must have had some issues.
Yeah, I don't see anything about them having any particular issues with it.
That's because they probably went, this isn't working really quickly and just slashed all the scenes down. And kept it bare bones and simple. Anyway, that was my
Apparently,
big thing.
this, by the way, was Janet Fielding's favorite script. She might have not liked her acting in it, but she liked the script.
The idea of the script, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And also an interesting thing is that it was an allegory for Australian colonialism.
Oh, now that you mention it, I can kind of see that. Yeah.
With the Kinda being the Aborigines.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And of course, the researchers being the British military. All they needed to do was make their suits red.
And add fancy hats.
They had fancy hats.
I guess they had they already had their safari hats in this one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just seeing if there was anything in there. There's not in the data core. There's not in Wikipedia. So
Yeah,
as far as I
my
can
thought
tell.
is that it was probably expected to do more, but then just quickly rewrote everything to cut it out
All
or
right.
slash
So
down its scenes.
my least favorite part of this, is I think probably the in Tegan's head scenes, because even to this day they're kind of nonsensical.
Actually, those are the ones I finally started getting into understand this time around.
With
Yeah, I
the
mean,
two
to be-
people playing chess and
Yeah, because those are
Yeah.
technically the Mara too. They're just different
oh,
parts
I
of the
know
Mara.
that,
Mm.
but they're kind of a non sequitur.
Oh, as in they're not that important. Yeah, they're not important, at least in this part of the plot.
Mm.
In the story, or I should say, rather.
I mean, yes, you need something there, but why did they choose that?
Because it's a trip
I mean, to
inside of
be-
her mind, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure it's like the entire idea is that it's not supposed to really make sense.
And why does everything look like they're like from the Victorian era? Not the Victorian era, the Elizabethan era.
Again, I assume that's something inside of her head. It just latched onto that for what to look like.
Mm.
Then bleached it out. Because you
It's,
notice that those two were at the table were playing some sort of weird sci-fi thing.
They
that
were
looked
playing
kinda
like
like
some
checkers or
version of
chess.
chess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just it's just a massive non sequitur to me.
It's fluff, but it's weird head tilting fluff that makes you think a little. But you don't. It's not necessary to really think too deeply on it.
Okay, so favorite scene, Thomas.
It's kind of a favorite skirt. I'm gonna narrow it down to, it's like, wait, you looked upon it as well. A man shouldn't be able to look upon this without going mad, unless, are you an idiot? It's like, well, are you an idiot? Well, I guess so. I mean, plenty of people
I've been
say
called
so.
that a
Shut
few
up,
times.
idiot. Be quiet, idiot. It's like, generally that old woman calling him an idiot was hilarious. But just that one thing was like the first laugh out loud moment I'd had the entire series. Probably. Like, that was supposed to be a laugh anyway. I probably got a laugh out of some things I wasn't supposed to, but that was just the one thing of asking the doctor if he's an idiot, and the doctor and the doctor just kind of rolling with it instead of getting all fussy was kind of funny.
Yep. Good moment. That is a good moment. Tim.
Well, I think Thomas took my first choice, but I do have a second choice, and that's where the doctor says, "Where's Hindle? Oh, he could be anywhere." Ah! Oh, you ruined it. That was just a charming, funny moment, I think.
Goes to show how much his brain had just deteriorated. All right, Matt.
I'm trying to decide because the first one was also my favorite one there. I'm going to have to go with I like the kind of I love the sister overtones of the Mara when he finally decides, okay, yeah, I'm not messing around anymore. let's officially try to
Mm.
take over you right now. I have enough to feed on now.
Mm.
And decides to try and take over Tegan. That's when he starts playing hardball and just starts going, okay, and multiple duplicates. Driving you crazy? Oh, you finally sorted it out. Okay, you don't want to be left alone? Then fine. Just a blank black void.
Mm.
Are you freaking out yet? Are you freaking out yet? And are you ready to give in? Are you ready to give in? How about my next trick? And she says, like, finally, no. And it's just like, yes. Also, the guy who played the humanoid part of the Mara for those particular scenes they picked the perfect guy to paint up bleach white and just act creepy.
Yeah. Also, is it just me, or does he sound like Joffrey from Game of Thrones? Like,
I've
this is
not watched
basically
Game of
Joffrey in
Thrones.
here.
I
Like-
forget who he reminds me of, but he does remind me of some other like creepy-esque
Mm.
character like that before too. But yeah, I get your meaning. It's there's something there that it's like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I wish I knew what that character was. Because he's not really credited.
Oh, that version of the Mara in her head isn't credited?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Might have to do some digging myself then. There's a lot of stuff they aren't covered on this one. For an interesting episode, there seems to be a lot of lost info.
Yeah, well, it's... Yeah, I can't... Yeah, I don't know, because if it's credited under, like, a character name that's not the Mara. So...
Actually, you know
And
what?
a character...
I'm looking at him again right now, and you know what he kind of makes me think of? A young Christopher Eccleston, but super creepy. Creepy Eccleston. Creepy.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. Anyway, so my favorite
Mhm.
is actually a corollary off of Tim's. And that's the point where the doctor steps on one of the little figures,
Oh.
and
Mhm.
Hindle goes flying way off the
Can't fix people.
Yep. People? You can't fix people.
Depends upon what you're trying to fix, but yeah, in some cases, no, you can't.
But it's just that whole scene.
Yeah, that was just like, ooh.
Okay. So the character was called Duca
Duca. Okay.
Yeah.
and was played by Jeff Stewart.
Yeah. It was also on the bill at one point.
Mm-hmm. And hits me as kind of a Draco Malfoy.
That too, a
motherfucker.
little bit.
Makes me just want to kill him. Anyway. But yeah, you people, you can't mend people. Just that level of the it's just a great showing of the level of insanity that he's at, and I just thought that was great. Okay, so least favorite scene. And Thomas.
Hmm. I guess because it's just so out of nowhere, I'll just go with like Hindle throwing a tantrum in the lab. Just like gets the doctor and Todd to leave, and then just basically just wrecks shit as like a little Kylo Ren outburst. It's just
Mhm.
like, what the shit? Where's this coming from? uh,
Oh, interesting.
Hmm? Oh, you found the Dukkha info?
I found a little bit of info. In
Yeah.
Buddhism, one of the 3 marks of
Mhm.
existence is dukkha, which roughly translates to suffering.
Yep.
Yeah, apparently, like, a
Oh.
few characters in that were all named after some Buddhist thing.
Yeah, probably Anatta and Annika, which I believe was the
Mm.
chess playing duo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as well as the old woman and the girl are both named after
Also,
Buddhist things.
Dukkha's name is also a play on the word doctor.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Almost an anti-doctor, if you will.
yes. Although we've gotten a few of those over the course of Doctor Who, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, the doctor needs to make a checklist of them.
Okay, so Thomas's, yours was the emotional explosion in the lab.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, how about you? Least favorite scene?
My least favorite scene is when the Doctor finds Anissa in the Chime Forest, wakes her up and says, Anissa says, "Oh, I had a dream," and the Doctor is like,
You mean Tegan?
"Tegan, I'm sorry." Like, doesn't really matter in the end. Anyway, and Tegan says, "What were you dreaming?" And Tegan just says, "Dreams are private." And like that was just a facepalm moment for me. Is like the Doctor is speaking with the sense of urgency, and Nissa is just Tegan. Sorry,
Female companion B.
female companion is just like dreams are private. Okay, okay. I myself have never really heard anyone say that dream. Say that in response to a dream inquiry, like so.
Yeah, I don't think I ever have either.
Yeah.
Well, I
Like-
think she was trying to convince herself it was all a dream, and failing. But
Mm.
Like, and I guess the
But
funny
just,
thing is she could have really easily have just been like, "Oh, I mean, it's just a dream. It's not important."
And that would have made a little more
Whatever.
sense.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then the doctor goes, "No, seriously, Tegan, I think it's really. I think we really do need to know what happened."
Mhm. Yeah. And I was just amazed that Tegan didn't pick up on the Doctor's tone of voice. Like, but then
Mm.
again, like I'm always amazed like when in TV shows and movies when people like don't read the room or
Read between the lines.
read between the lines.
Mm.
all right,
Very true.
Matt.
So on to me. This is a scene that kind of made me go, "The hell, why?" So when I think it's the CEO, Sanders decides he wants to leave and go run around in a box. He says that the other guy is going to be in charge, despite the fact that he knows he's been acting up, the fact that he knows he's been trouble for everyone else lately, and despite everyone around him literally telling him, "We think he might be going off the deep end. He's been acting really cuckoo lately. Oh, it might do him a world of good to be in control for a little while."
Yeah. I mean, like, if he just came out and was, like, misogynistic and was like, "Oh, you can't lead, you can't be in charge, you're a woman," or something, at least that would have been something. To be like, he was
At
just
least
so
it was something that this
stuffy.
would be something that worth smacking him across the head for later. But this was just
Yeah.
blatant "I don't careism."
Yeah.
This is just literally, that was the one point I have to say that really did feel like they were forcing something for the sake of the plot.
Mm.
When it seemed very obvious to anyone with a calm head that maybe this isn't the best idea.
Yeah, I thought that I kind of thought, you know, make a man out of him kind of thing.
Mm.
But
But even he was seeing signs that there's something obviously wrong with him, like just before people started showing up too. So the fact that he completely ignores his own instinct.
Mm. I think at that point you could also maybe argue that it was he'd had both of them previously, like trying to question his authority. So he was just like, "No, I'm not having any of it. This is my decision. Fuck you," kind of a thing.
But that's not the way it kind of fed off either, though. So
Mm.
it's just a really highly questionable decision that was just mostly put there to keep the
Yeah.
plot rolling for longer, and also give one of the actors a good portion of screen time to completely act up and and play something super serious for about 5 minutes
Mm.
at a time. So yeah,
all
it's
right.
it's just it just kind of felt forced to me.
So I think my least favorite scene is Adric after he comes out of the TSS. No, I'm sorry.
Rewind.
Adric and Tegan right after the
Mm.
lights flash in the dome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is all your fault.
Yeah.
I mean, I
We're
know what they
blowing
were
up. If we were blowing up, we don't be dead. Let's knock it off.
what they were trying to establish, what they were aiming for, was to get Adric and Tegan into a kind of a little brother, big sister kind of relationship.
And it came across as way too bitter.
Yeah, it came across
Mm.
as way too pratty,
Yeah.
way
I guess
too much of a brat.
Yeah. I guess at the very least they let Tegan get a thing back on. It's like, well, look at literally what just happened here, you dumbass.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
he
just
tries to deflect it in that, but still.
I think it would have been better if he had just tried to do some kind of teasing. So, taken over by a mind alien, huh? So, can't control a power suit, huh? Would
Yeah.
have been a little more siblingy and a
Yeah.
little more good-natured.
Yeah. Or even if he'd had that same, well, this is all your fault dialogue, but it was more panicked. Like, oh shit, we're about to die, this is all your fault kind
Or
of a
Kind
thing.
of
obviously,
And
a
then,
or obviously
C-3PO.
being more satirical about it.
yeah, and then, once the threat's averted, have him actually apologize for what he said. Oh shit, sorry, heat of the moment type deal. But the fact that he never apologizes for it just kind of emphasizes
It's one of the reasons that
things.
Adric lost a lot of popularity in that first season
Mm-hmm.
of the Davidson era, and to the
Like I said,
point
even
where
if he would have done satirically, like this is another 5 minutes you got me into a Stanley kind of deal. Like, actually, say something like it's actually a quote from somewhere else, and obviously do it in a tone that seems a little tongue in cheeky. But yeah, they played it just didn't pan out right. It just felt really.
it is for me the worst scene of the show, because it is literally them trying to do I mean, I'm pretty sure it was added by Sayward,
Yeah,
trying to
probably.
add a relationship between the two, and just did not pan.
And instead of nudging, it came off as trying to throw punches.
Yep.
Mm.
Just
So
super stilted.
that is our least favorite scenes. Let's go for final thoughts.
I will say that this is unlike anything I have ever seen in Doctor Who, in the best way possible. Because this is even after seeing it the first time, I just remember sitting there silent for a minute and then just being like, wow. Recall anything like this of what I have seen of classic Who, and it's nothing like anything in New Who. It's its own
unique entity onto itself. Even though, yes, there's snake dance, but given that wouldn't have been done by the same writer at all, this is like such a unique thing, and I would honestly say that you probably wouldn't show this to someone like trying to get them into Doctor Who, but once you've hooked them on Classic Who, for God's sake, this is required viewing. Like, holy shit. I had no idea what to expect from this, but I've seen this now, and I'm glad I own it. Because I will probably be watching it again at some point.
All right. So, Tim.
Well, apparently you need to see this again to fully appreciate it. I only had a chance to see it once before our podcast, so it might watching it multiple times might raise it. This was a pretty okay episode. It had some interesting themes and ideas presented. And also, I don't know if it worked for anyone else, but it really reminded me of the Star Trek episode The Apple. With the children of Vol.
Sounds like Randy might remember that better.
I do, I think. It's the one I'm thinking of.
Not an out and out remake, but like just some of the the costumes and like the characters were very similar. But
yeah,
thankfully
the classic Star Trek episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had to make sure that was the one I was thinking of, because
the annoying companions weren't featured as prominently as the Doctor and the one-off characters, so that sort of rebalanced the things in this episode's favor, I think. It would be fun showing this episode to my mom and dad, because my mom and dad were both professors of religion and philosophy, and see how many of these insights they could pick up on. So I'll have to share this episode with them next time I see them.
Might be an idea to pass by them, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Tim?
No, that's pretty much it for me.
All right, Matt.
All right. I will say this. It's literally taken me at least 3, if not 4 viewings, I think, at this point, to finally fully understand what the hell is going on in this story. That being said, yes, the first you watch this the first time and you're just like, I've never seen anything like this. What the hell was that? But it's not a bad what the hell is that. It's a very, I feel like I've missed something kind of what the hell was that? And repeated viewings, it has finally gotten to a point where I'm understanding it a bit better. The main cast, the Doctor in particular, is doing really well. Tegan does well for her dream parts. I don't know what happened to the companions after that. It's just kind of a hot mess, I think, with their writing. But the rest of the writing about the setup of the planet, the setup for the Mara, the setup for the humans that have come to this planet, and what's happening to each and every one of those individual characters, and how well they are all acting, is superb. And there's some at least semi-decent visuals here and there. There's a paper mache snake, but it's an impressively large snake. I mean, I don't think I've seen a set prop that active and that big on any of their sets previously. I'm trying to literally think of another creature that big on Doctor Who by that point. The closest I can think of is maybe the Minotaur, and they cheesed it.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of comes
We'll get to that
after
in the
this.
bad, Matt.
Yeah.
That is scheduled for the bad.
Yeah.
What?
The Nyman.
Oh no. I'm talking about Second Doctor.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a Minotaur and I believe Second Doctor and a couple other places that were actually pretty large guys and stuff. And I think the Second Doctor one was a stop motion. Again, at the time, not the best stop motion, but it was effective enough. And I believe the onset prop was pretty big, but it didn't actually move like the Mara did in this. There's a few questionable things like the moving box, which they could have retooled that a bit better, and it would have done it a much better service. But otherwise, for the general story and the main acting that you do focus on for the majority of this particular story, it's really good and really interesting. The Mara comes from a very interesting headspace, and it'd be interesting to have more metaphysical monstrosities like him, if not actually having it come back as a possibly recurring creature and threat to the Doctor. Because at this point, it's been stopped and conquered by the Doctor twice, and that's kind of the kind of thing that a metaphysical creature will remember and coil up in its dark corner and plot and plan over for next time. Next time, gotcha. So overall, there's some silly bits to this, but there's a lot of really good things to this too. So it's not perfect in my eye, but I have to actually legit sit down and think what I'm going to give this. But anyways, definitely a must watch, definitely a classic, and even if it gives you a what the hell at the end, it's still a memorable episode, and maybe it is worth your time to give it a couple more goes. And maybe, as we have said a couple times, you'll start peeling back those layers and going, aha, oh, now I'm getting it. Oh, look at that.
okay. You done, Matt?
Yep.
All right. So my thoughts on this is, first of all, the writing is top notch. It's deep.
Mhm.
It is probably some of the deepest writing we've ever seen in Doctor Who.
On multiple levels, in fact, on that too, yeah.
The acting of the support characters is top notch, as well as the acting of the Doctor. The rest of the companions are kind of mediocre and might be a little burnt out by this point. But they gave one time off and did what they could with the others. The special effects for what they could do in that era are pretty good. They're not great, but they're not the downward spiral that we would see come in later seasons. Starting to show it, but not quite there yet. Obviously, of course, the concepts were such that the effects team did have problems making the Mara and the total survival suit, but I think they did the best they could.
Mm-hmm.
And the other stuff, the dome and everything, just came off beautifully.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I never mentioned either. The sets were amazing in this one, if nothing else to go by too.
For me, this had all the right feels and everything, and it has been my favorite since I first saw it. It's still one of my favorites today. I brought this into the good because I think it's probably one of the better Doctor Who episodes, and definitely one of the most underrated. Speaking of ratings, it's time for us to put our money where our mouth is. Let's see what we think about Kinda. Thomas.
One last little note. Apparently, this was actually conceived it might have actually been conceived before Peter Davison actually took over, so that's kind of interesting. That it was technically probably an idea when Tom Baker was still the Doctor, but didn't get used until after Peter Davison came around.
That's an interesting what if.
I am going to have to very easily give this a 5.
5.0. All right. Tim.
Well, like, I haven't unpeeled quite all the layers yet, so I'm going to give this a tentative 4.5.
0.5. Still not bad. Matt!
I flipped on it. I say there's still enough good stuff here that I'm gonna, despite any nitpicks, have to say this is a 5.
This is a 5. Okay, and I agree with the majority. There is some issues with it, but not enough for me to give it anything
not
less
quite
than
enough to keep it down. And the fact that I
4.85.
unveiled some extra layers on this one today is
Yeah.
like, oh, there's
depth
more to
of
this
this
thing.
one-
Hold on. I need a
The
second
depth
dig.
of this thing is just enough that you have to give it a high. And with everything, and Tim's paltry 4.5, we'll rate this at a 4.9. Yes,
Wow.
indeed. It will not quite make it into the top 7.
I'll make it darn well up there, though.
Oh, yes, it will.
Top 20 for sure.
Oh, it's going to be in top 10 likely because there's only
Kinda comes
Possibly.
in at number 10.
There we go.
Oh, just.
Number 10 out of 292 things rated. It is on par with The Pirate Planet and an Torchwood Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and an Unearthly Child minus the Tribe of Gum. It is better than School Reunion, The Armageddon Factor, Dark Water, Death in Heaven, Robots of Death, and Time Heist, Empty Child Doctor Dances, Genesis of the Daleks, and Dalek, and is not quite as good as Pyramids of Mars, The Face of Evil, The Hand of Fear, Remembrance of the Daleks, and Caves of Androzani. So there you have it, number 10 out of 292, and that is all we have to say about Kinda.
Alrighty, so I guess that goes back to me since I'm taking over for Bill's position on other things. So, placeholder image. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you do enjoy, you can catch our videos on YouTube at Unearthly Podcast. You can also catch us live or check out the VODs there on Twitch at Unearthly Podcast. You can find us on the social medias with Twitter and Facebook at Unearthly Pod and Unearthly Podcast, respectively. And if you enjoy our shows well enough that you want to do more than just spread word and maybe want to throw a pretty little quarter or two our way, you can always check out our Patreon at An Unearthly Podcast.
All right. So next week, we continue going through the good as we move forward to the 7th Doctor era. Yes, we're skipping the 6th. There's nothing good there.
We've covered everything that's good there.
It is the favorite of Bill and myself in season 26. It's Battlefield, written by Ben Aronovich, and starring Sylvester McCoy as the Doctor and Sophie Aldred as Ace. So we will see you next week.
More classic Who. Also, a deep thought for you all to leave on. Endgame is a time heist. See you all later.